I just learned some jazz today, it's true. He just learned some jazz today, and you gon' learn.
Hey everybody, you don't hear from me often, but this is the producer of the Irie podcast, soon to be the Passion to Profit podcast. And I'm here with a little message for you. This is a special episode, kind of an end-of-year highlight episode. We've taken small clips from each and every installment of the Irie podcast throughout the entire year, starting way back in January, ranging all the way through last Tuesday. And what you're about to hear is Irie 2020 Wrapped. In other words, a quick collage of highlights, lowlights, bloopers, funny moments, teachable moments, and everything in between. So we're going to let some music play in the back. We're going to come at you quick with some rapid-fire clips. And next time we see you on January 5th, 2021, will be the Passion to Profit podcast. And we can assure you there's some great things ahead for the podcast and for all of its listeners. So on behalf of Liz and Vince and the entire Irie team, we wish you Happy New Year. Let's tackle 2021 with the same vigor we did this year, but next time with even more impressive results. Peace out, everyone, and Happy New Year.
What's up, guys? It's Vince from the Irie podcast. Make sure you subscribe, and subscribe, baby.
Hey.
And there's people that will tell you this is what you should absolutely do, and then I'm like, never in my life would I. You know, it's interesting.
Oh wow.
Well, so people say you should niche out, find your niche, find what it is, and go narrow and go deep within that narrow.
Yeah.
But what if you don't like that? What if you don't always want to talk about? What did you say? If you looked up search terms in food blogging, like poke cakes?
Oh, poke cakes or casseroles,
pudding and stuff.
Exactly.
You're like, if I could make,
if I wanted to go viral and be the biggest Instagrammer, I would be doing poke cakes and casseroles and cheesy brownies or all that. You get chocolatey. See,
you've heard it here.
Savory brownies.
Right. Savory brownies.
But also there'd be people that would say, Liz, you shouldn't start travel blogging because you should just focus on food. Well, that's what
that's not what you want to do.
Right, that's not my life.
You have to go with what your passion is, right? And so if I wanted to follow that, so let's think about YouTube. My most watched video on YouTube, well, 2 of them actually, are about decluttering.
I was going to say decluttering.
And it's by a long shot. I have, and I don't even know because I don't really stay on top of numbers and analytics and stuff because I honestly don't really care, but I think it's more than 100,000 people have watched this epic closet declutter that I did 2 years ago.
And you never were like, I'm an organization skill.
Right. And I think it was probably relatable because I'm not the expert, which I think is another big tip. You don't have to be the expert.
Right.
It's more relatable if you're not. Mm-hmm. And so I think people really resonated with the way that I was just like, what the hell? I was just a real person going through their stuff and taking you through that process. But if I wanted to try to go viral and I wanted to try to get more followers, I would just totally pivot my channel to be all about decluttering. But guess what? That would be boring to me.
So how would you define authenticity?
To me, is and I think it morphs a lot, but for me, it's just being yourself, being true to yourself, kind of being in line with your conscience a lot. That's how I can gauge if I'm being authentic or not. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't feel right in my gut, I'm like, right? And obviously you have to have some gauge. You could be nervous, right? Mm-hmm. But if it feels completely wrong, you might see when we have conversations a lot, I'll tend to overcorrect or say something if someone's talking with me in conversation, but it's not that for me, it's actually this, because I don't want to just say yes and be inauthentic.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Yeah, I'm kind of self-aware a little bit to the point where I know where it actually hits and it's true for me. That kind of somebody says something, you read something, you see something, that relates to me.
Right.
I have that good key, person.
It's a priceless person to have on the team.
Yeah. Because having the idea and knowing how to execute it.
Yeah.
You run into a lot of people that have ideas that don't know how to make it happen. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's they don't think that far into it. It's here's my idea.
Well, not every idea is good or profitable or smart or a good use of people's time or in line with your vision.
Is something that I get really excited about too, and whether I'm planning a wedding or a work event or whatever, I always try to get to the why, and the way that I get to the why is to say, how when you're leaving an event or you get home from an event, you're like, ooh, wasn't that da-da-da, or that didn't go so well, or that was the best food I've ever had, or oh my god, I danced so much my knees hurt. It's those, I'm like, what do you want those 3 things people What are the 3 things you want people to say when they leave your event?
That is such a good way to think and then go backward.
So I'll take it back. So as far as cultivate, yes. The typical networking event is your corporate networking event, you know, this, that, the speed dating, the tables, the meeting, and that's all cool. And do that stuff too, because if you really want to get outside of your comfort zone, it's a lot of those type of events, right? What I'm trying to do based off of what I've seen in bigger cities and what I've seen in the corporate world is mesh those and break the stigma of your conventional suit and tie networking event. That, you know, there's no dress code. There's not, I mean, get fresh, that's up to you. Yeah. But there is no dress code. You know, like I want people to be who they are. And so I love the fact of going to the event last year and seeing people in suits, talking to people in t-shirts and people who look like rock stars and musicians and this and that. Like everyone, you know, everyone mixed. But that is what I'm trying to do. And like, that's why we have the DJ. That's why we do the open bar. And that's why we do the food and like the panel and everything. You should be able to come to Cultivate. You should be able to link up with your peers, meet your peers, have conversations with them, but you should also get the lay of the land on what's going on in the city.
One of the things I love about the internet, it's the great equalizer. So now you can see, you know, a Liz and be, you know, extremely successful in what you're doing as, you know, with restaurateurs and with, you know, how you cultivate social media, all that kind of stuff. You can see us, what we're doing, Motivate Spirits, you know, and you can build it from the ground up. The internet has dispelled all the myths.
It kind of even the playing field.
It's even the playing field for everybody. There's a how-to for everything. There is no information gap. When I was coming up in the 90s, you had to go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, cross-reference your sources, you know, copy a whole bunch of stuff on the copy machine. You might not have read this book. You might, you know, if your school isn't teaching a certain curriculum, you're out the loop. Now, we all have a computer on our hip.
Literally.
There's no excuse for you to have a lack of information. There's no excuse for you not to access that and to implement your dreams. You know, and even if you fail at something, you can learn from it and then pour it into something else.
Eliminate all excuses.
They say if you're not failing 20% of the time, you're not pushing yourself enough.
I agree.
So I think like if you're just looking to play it safe all the time and you know, that's a good indicator.
Skim money don't make no money, right? And like being too much in the middle don't help you either. And like I feel like all that kind of stuff like is real in business, right? Like life, live how you want. I'm not gonna judge you how you live your life, but like when it comes down to like X's and O's and how we make money, like you have to kind of, you know, take risks and you have to want to learn how to fail.
Like we had a big blooper on a Facebook Live with Jacob. We were making cookies and he put the measuring cup of sugar in the mixing bowl that was running. It went everywhere. KitchenAid mixer. It's really actually funny. So partly just trying to like give people some distraction that's like positive. I think another big tip is to practice gratitude, because at the end of the day, we all can be thankful for different things and be grateful for different things. And if you start your day practicing gratitude for what you do have, you know, that's going to be a much better way to make sure that your mindset is in the right place to be able to do what Vince is talking about and what I've talked about in terms of creating new opportunities for yourself, learning more about yourself, finding yourself, making lemonade out of lemons. And I think that you have to be in the right mindset to be able to do that.
Worrying about things you can't control tend to put people in weird mindsets. And so go back to just to tie it all into silver lining, just like you're saying, like, you know, you might think that you sound crazy for spending all that time with your kids, but like, you know, that's a silver lining that people wouldn't have taken out because X means more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how many dads are spending more time at home and not working as much? You know, when we start to worry about things you can't control, I think that's where like all these weird things are creeping in. And they're not self-serving, they don't help.
So for someone listening that might be a small business owner like yourself, how do you make decisions about your business 3 to 5 years out? What are you reading? What are you like? How are you actually doing that?
I think I would say, what are your values first as an owner of a business? I'm not reading anything. I'm not looking into anything. I'm not looking for anyone for the answers because like no one's been through a pandemic before, you know? So at first I would go like, what are your values? What do you care about? And then from there, you make this hard decisions about your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can't afford your staff, well, you got to start letting people go. you know, and like as long as you stay true to your values and things that you care about, I think that's like a good way to like focus everything as decisions making. Like three things. I think first off, from my experience, all business is done based off relationships. Like someone likes you, you have a way better chance of getting the business. Like I don't think people understand that how much of the work can get done by millions of other people. Like if it's a photo or video, that's subjective. There's like a billion people that I can hire to do that. If I like you to do my photo and videos, then I want you. And on top of that, it's like, oh, I like your perspective, your creativeness. Well, that's all like things I like about you as a person. So I think that's something that's interesting. I think the second thing is there's kind of the second and third thing is kind of 2 or 3 routes you can take. One route is like, if you don't have anything, right? Like you don't have a business, you're just trying to network, you're just trying to meet people. I really think you should double down on making friends and learning and understanding, like Anthony said, the landscape, because you don't have anything there. So be happy to be there. Be happy to be part of that event. Try to connect and network with people and make friends, and or at least understand where the opportunity is. And the only ways you do that is by having authentic conversations, right? Like if you don't have that, then you completely miss the opportunity. Now, if you do have something, like, and you're kind of nervous or you're working on your pitch, I'll go to, have you mastered your craft? And do you have confidence? If you have confidence in what you're doing, right, and you're being authentic, and again, you're building relationships, it should just be easy for you to flow and have a conversation. Because if you're a great architect, and you believe that you're a great architect, you can get a Pioneer Construction, a big construction company to pay you to like design a building for them because you believe that you're good. So I think there's like a lot of things you can do, but those are the 3 things I think that worked for me and I've seen work for other people. And don't rush everything. Everything has to happen in 2 years, man. Like Liz and I just laugh at people we talk to. It's not like in a bullying way, but it's just like a lot of it because you haven't done, you've read about, you've observed, so you've been taught. Not if it's like actually doing it. And I like love the restaurant business because it taught me how much time it actually takes to actually build a real business. The other stuff that I did, it was like super fast growth. Anything I've ever done was always quick, easy, short, fast money, short, fast returns. The restaurant, like, it took 3 years to get to like this point. And I was working hard every day. Every day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, like, and restaurants are hard businesses to run anyway, but it just showed me that like that's 3 years, and like another 3 years might get me here in the food business, you know? So I now appreciate time. I know how to like fit things in amount of time. I know how to work with time. So I think it's like time is our biggest asset.
And then there's all kinds of just good pragmatic advice that was good advice 20 years ago that's still good advice today. So you just mentioned one of them, which is kind of like the role of some cash or emergency savings. And I would say, you know, the 6-month thing is easier said than done for a lot of people. Yeah. Because, you know, the thought of somebody who makes, you know, 60 grand, putting away, you know, 30 grand is daunting, right? It's just hard to think about that kind of cash when you got bills coming in and whatnot. So I just tell everybody, give yourself a little bit of permission to not, if you can afford to put 6 months away, put 6 months away. But if something is better than nothing. So there's a lot of old adages that apply here, right? Putting something away is better than nothing away. So things like what we'll encourage clients to do is, like if you get a tax return normally, throw half of your tax return every year, get in the habit. The thing is, what we think about is like, what can you make habit, right? So not just what should you do, rather what can we do? So shoulds and cans are different. So what's possible within the way I live my life today is different than what should I do? Because that's pressure coming either from society or parents or whatever it is. So what can I do to get closer to having money I can access when I need it? You know what I tell everybody is save your passion projects for later in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you want to launch a jerk chicken restaurant as your retirement plan, go for it, because it'll help keep your mind engaged. It'll give you something to do. Like if you want the blueprint for a successful life, that it's not a bad one to find something you really like doing that pays better in the front end that you can use to justify the bigger risks or the passion projects later in life.
For me to say I act selfish in my business, I feel like I selfishly know that I need, you know, it's something so simple. Like I know that in the summer I'm going to need more support to do, like in the summer, we have a lady who comes and helps us clean the house. Because in the summer, when we are working 14-hour days, like that's not selfish. It's not like, oh, she can't take care of her own house. That to me is like, oh, I know that I need this help right here so I can work even harder on this business to create the life we want for ourselves. And then also being selfish with your time, like knowing I know how I want this to go, and eliminating people in your life who don't serve that same role. I think we only have so much energy to spend, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like we only have so much to give. So you should only be giving it to causes, people, passion projects, businesses, careers, jobs, clients, customers that really like fit your vibe and fit what you want for yourself. So that's the selfish thing. I hope that helps some people. I think it's like an awesome thing to just like think of yourself as this like amazing, cool, beautiful, unique being, and serving all those cool skills you have that came with you and letting them shine as bright as possible.
I was finding ourselves in a few situations where we were just being treated very poorly. And my team was very stressed, and I was managing that. And I realized that I no longer want to I wanted them to know that I had their backs to have those conversations. So that's also helpful. So if they know that I have their back, and then I'm not just putting them into the fire a lot. So there's a lot that goes into it, but it really is being a human person. They know they can come to me. They also know that I'm going to like just real right quick say, no. Like, we need to fix that. But I think they've seen me treat people like humans. They've seen that I have the confidence to be direct, and that I would never throw them under the bus. Even if I could have easily done that, I would never throw, like, if you're on my ship, I'm not throwing you off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't care if you cost me $10,000, I'm not firing you, and I'm not throwing you under the bus. We will talk about it. We will learn from it. And if it's a consistent pain point, then I might have to make a tough decision. But I think it's just knowing that I got their backs and having real conversations with them. I mean, that's been a little bit of my secret sauce.
Everyone that donated, anyone that shared, anyone that sent a letter, anyone that sent me a message, Liz a message, hit us up on Instagram. I know I can't get to everybody, but like I am super thankful and appreciative of you guys' support. This is huge. Like we raised $100,000 in 2 days, and so all that credit goes to you guys, right? We can set up to how things happened and why it can make sense logically how it worked, but that was a community thing. That was a people thing. That's bigger than me, bigger than Liz, and you guys really showed out, and so I'm just appreciative, and we're just gonna do the right thing with the money, and we're gonna do the right thing, just continually, and just keep being us and keep doing us.
Recognizing that a lot of people don't really have I don't want to say text etiquette, but etiquette when typing, meaning like they're not trying to be mean, but they may just sound a little off. And a lot of them just want to be recognized. And so just kind of saying, oh, thank you, or okay, thank you for the feedback, or just ignoring it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't have the time of day for this, ignore it. And I think I've dealt with that for a while now, that I just let it roll off my shoulder. So the more that it comes in, the easier it is to kind of just say, okay, whatever, like, okay, crazies, okay, Karen, like, and I've just learned that above all, okay, Karen, but above all, I have to be authentic to me, because if I'm trying to compare myself with everybody else, if I'm trying to do what everybody else is doing, it's not going to come across as authentic. People are going to see through that. So I learned a long time ago that it's best to just be myself. And I am who I am. If you don't like it, like, leave. I think that's my whole motto. I don't let it bother me. I really don't. And it's taken a lot of years, and I really had to get comfortable in my own skin and do like deep work, but I think take it or leave it.
Oh, to preface for the listener, Liz is gonna give us 10 lessons over 10 years.
Yeah.
And so the first one as you kind of just led on or finish on passion, if you're still passionate about your website and the recipes you create, let's talk about passion versus profit.
Yeah. So I kind
of... Did you get this from me?
So you're funny. You are funny. So I created a list, you guys, of 10 kind of lessons I've learned over the year, or almost just 10 different mantras I live by that have led to my success. Yeah. And passion versus profit is a big one. And what I mean by that is that not everything that makes the most amount of money in my business brings me the most amount of happiness. Mm-hmm. And I think that the reason I've not burnt out, because that's a big thing, is that a lot of people that start blogs don't keep up with it because they burn out. That's like many businesses, I'm sure. Restaurant business, I'm sure many, many businesses, And so what I've learned, what I think has helped me with the longevity to keep up with it and to never lose that momentum that you always talk about, Vince, is that I make sure my business is well balanced with passion projects. So, for example, a few years ago, I launched a cookbook series, my Sunday dinner series called Food from Our Ancestors, where I profiled different families and their ethnic recipes that had passed on through the generations to make sure that those recipes stay intact. Because oftentimes people my generation, Vince, you're one of my few friends that cooks. A lot of people don't cook anymore. So what happens is that the holidays and everything, all the food they want to eat, like in my family, all they want is Syrian food and Lebanese food. But most people in my generation don't cook. And what's going to happen is that the matriarchs that know all the recipes are the elders that don't write the recipes down. Because, spoiler alert, people that cook don't write recipes.
What is it, do you think, specifically about your personality that led you, not only that led you to opening a restaurant, but makes you so good at what you do as a business owner and entrepreneur?
This is funny, and it just used to make me upset as a kid, but the only award I'll ever win is perseverance. Like, I don't give up. I might not be perfect the first time around. I might not win the first time around. I might not be picked, whatever it is. Well, the last thing I'm going to do, if I want to do something, is like give up. And so I think about myself is just like, I'm willing to take all the risk and still make it happen.
Yeah.
Come any hurdle, at spite of anything, I'm going to do it anyways.
Do you think perhaps you're trying to prove a point to someone?
Yeah, I think at that point, the world, people I was close to, school, all kind of just like, they didn't believe in me. Right. And so it kind of definitely created like a deep rooted chip because like I believe in everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And you felt like they didn't believe in you.
Yep. And I had I had a small track record.
True.
Like I was getting wins early.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just like, well, I like this feeling. And unbeknownst to me, like the restaurant was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And it's the hardest business I think you can ever do. But I think I'm uniquely kind of built for it because I am a perseverer and I am a solution first kind of person. And I run more optimist than pessimist.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
So
I think Vince is the most solution-oriented person I've ever met. You guys, I always say, like, anything I'm going to be doing in business, if there's an opportunity to have Vince by my side, I would rather him be by my side because he will figure out a way. Like, no matter what the problem, what the situation, there's always a way. But some people, you want to be by certain people when you're in those moments because other people, they just get freaked out, they're nervous, they lean pessimistic, anxious, and Vince always remains cool, calm, steady, and he always finds a way. Like, you always find a way, friend.
Always. I love pressure.
Yeah, I almost think you perform better under pressure.
I 100% do.
Yeah, sometimes I just make up problems to get the best of Vince. Like, if I tell him how great things are, he relaxes.
Yeah, I'm like, I need competition. I need pressure. I need, I just need it.
2020 delivered. Okay, next question.
Oh my God, that's what I'm saying. Be careful what you wish for. God.
Yeah, we are living a life where we are valuing things we can't control. And it never dawned on me, and I'm embarrassed to say this, that it's taken me this long, and for this reason, I never truly stopped to consider my personal values. And when I did, I realized most of them were things I can't control.
Right.
And they were the wrong things.
Taste, and taste some more.
Talk about that.
You gotta taste from the beginning to the end while you're cooking.
Why is that important?
You want to make sure it tastes good.
And you can't. The thing of it is, at the end of the recipe, you can't make up for the layers of flavor. You've got to season as you go.
Yeah. And
you can't just salt it out at the end.
Yeah, and I think the issue with a lot of people that follow a recipe, they just stop there.
Yeah.
And they expect it to come out perfect, but like different cuts of meat, more water or whatever. Different
taste as you go. So
you have to taste as you go. And as we said earlier, as you're upgrading your palate and you're building that up, you'll be able to taste and know what needs to be added. Like I'll ask for feedback, I'll listen, but like just for respect or listen because people are gonna give it to you regardless. And then you kind of like make your own call, right? And like they could be right or they could be wrong, but it's a much better decision when you make it. You make that call, no matter what happens next, because you're doing the best thing for you in that moment. And I think that's like for anyone listening, like that is the game. In anything you do in life, especially in business, because it's whether you fail or you win, right? Like it was you, right? And then you can do it again. And all right, I failed, I messed up. This is where I messed up. All right, I can be better next time in my next thing, or it works. Oh shit, I'm pretty fucking smart. let me keep listening to what I think, right? And the best advice, like Drake has lines, don't ever take advice.
Yeah.
Like unless somebody has exactly the same life as you, which basically is impossible, right? Like they can't really advise you on how to do it.
You need to really protect your energy, because I really think that people's motivation level is usually direct reflection of their energy and their resources.
Yeah.
So if you're not protecting that energy, so a really micro example is if you find yourself scrolling through Instagram and then you feel depleted or you feel like down or like less than or and then it like kind of zaps all your energy. Well, if your energy and assets are zapped, you're not going to be motivated to do anything, and you're never going to achieve anything, and you're going to beat yourself up, et cetera, et cetera. So same thing, if you're on a phone call with a group of people, it brings you down. Try to like set boundaries around those people. Like really try to protect your energy. Like if your family bums you out, like limit that family time. Like you've got to really protect your energy. Like I have a really strong circle of people that I know they're gonna like keep me at the energy level that I need to be to achieve at the level I want to achieve. So you really have to get specific with goals, because I think if it's too generic, it's gonna be hard for you to really know what to do. So the more specific you can get with your goals, the better. Number 2, it needs to be measurable. Because again, how do you know if you've actually reached the goal without a measurement? Where are we at? It needs to be achievable. Like it can't be too, I want to make 5 million if you're making 20 grand right now. So it has to be achievable. It needs to be, I feel like isn't R realistic? And then T is timely. So I'll link to like the official definition of, I didn't come up with the concept of SMART goals, but when I write goals, they're all SMART goals. So they are specific, there's timelines, there's an actual measurement. And the other thing I always do is I include a reason why. So, I think that it's just good to have a format to how you write your goals. And I think there is something to be said just for writing them out.
Gave you guys some good tips, and I just encourage you to get out there. Don't be afraid. Master that grill, master beef on the grill, figure out what cuts, what recipes, what you love, figure out how your grill works, and then you're ready to go anytime you want to throw beef on the grill, and there's a cut for everyone. So
I'm curious, so 100 years in, right, e-commerce brand, you're shipping fruit baskets or whatever to everybody, like how do you guys connect with your community, and who do you define as your community?
So we sort of have this like interesting situation as a gifting company. So like your target audience as marketers are the people who are buying your gift, right? But you also want to appeal to the people who are receiving your gift. So like, maybe grandma is the one buying you a fruit basket, but like you know, my grandma sent me care packages when I was in college, right, from Harry and David. So like you also have to appeal to the person who's getting the gift and like what that experience looks like. So
Liz, like we were just saying, there are the two sides to the business, and a smart influencer has a really diverse revenue strategy, a really diverse business model, and working with brands is a part of it, right? It's probably maybe it's a third of it. But you're doing all kinds of other things. Obviously, you're building a site that has growth and expansion and a lot of traffic, and that's helping you. You're doing, ancillary products and things over here. Obviously, you're an amazing cookbook author, things like that, where you have a very diverse business model. But when you're working with brands, your allegiance to your readers really should never change.
Our friendship, like it was now, though, we were really good friends right in the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And it's just sometimes a good lesson if you are fostering new friendships, whether they're work-related or not. If something works, run with it and don't overthink it. And don't assume that shit's going to hit the fan because things are going well. I think that's an area where in life, whether that's weight loss, success, money, finances, love, when things go well, people are waiting for the shoe to drop. And something I really rarely do is wait for the shoe to drop, because I've had a really knock on wood charmed life for a very long time. Don't get me wrong, things have happened, but we can handle hard things. So what are you so afraid of? Dive in, go for it.
I second that.
Ironically, yesterday I went through everything I do. It's been a few years, and I basically checked off, does it require my expertise? Do I enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do I not enjoy it, and does it not require my expertise? And everything that didn't require my expertise and I don't enjoy, I'm creating a new position for it.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that with the contract.
Yeah. And I feel like the hard part with that is like there is a period where you just kind of have to eat dirt and do the things that you don't.
Sure.
But then I think what the interesting observation is, like, there eventually becomes a time where you're eating this dirt and then you're like, wait, there's like this other person who this doesn't taste like dirt. This tastes like chocolate pudding, and it's so good to them. And it's like, and then you realize, wait a minute, this isn't dirt, this is pudding, and I just don't like the taste of it.
Can we kind of just set the groundwork, Joe, for where we're going to go with this? Just because it kind of gives people a comfort level. We are going to talk about what is this tool? What are the triads, which is kind of some insider language. We're going to quickly go through the numbers, and then we're going to talk communication styles.
Great.
Yay. I'm excited.
All right, so the Enneagram, if you Google it, it is the Wild West of the internet in terms of what you will find. All kinds of different images, all kinds of different thinkers. It's an ancient personality tool. It's, as someone who's read a lot about the Enneagram, I still am not clear where it exactly came from, because so many of the scholars say something different. So we put it in the category of like a wisdom tool, kind of like a proverb, like this ancient wisdom that we have that has gone through the generations, and then increasingly in North America, it's gotten popular in probably the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
In a number of different fields.
Okay, so I have a question on that.
Okay.
Do you think that values are found, or you're not coming up with your values? You're defining.
So maybe now that goes to the both and and conversation.
Right.
So I think that you pinpoint them internally, but they also can be created if you want to aspire to be this kind of person. So currently you may not be where you want to be, and you understand that your value sets have to change, or your perspectives have to change.
Right.
So it's kind of both, but I really do think it's always inside you.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to like pinpoint what those things are, but they can change based on your circumstance.
Yeah.
Like your values as a single person is not the same values when you're married.
100%.
Right? And your values when you're broke is not the same values when you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So they do kind of change with words. That's why I say like sometimes words get in the way.
Mhm.
It's more about an internal kind of thing of like, what is your rubric?
But I'll tell you, I can't imagine doing this alone, not having a business partner. Because he and I mean...
Why don't you talk about that partnership and what makes it so strong and why it is so beneficial to have a partner?
It's like a marriage.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I mean, how many businesses do you know are partners where they can't stand each other? Or the business fails because they couldn't work things out.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know how to operate in a complementary way.
Probably good businesses that just because the relationship wasn't strong, it dissolves. Yeah.
So when I look back on our relationship, we're really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we travel with our families once a year. We've been to the Cayman Islands together 10 times.
It's like so many people had a bad 2 weeks and decided to close. I'm like, dude, you gotta fight longer than that. You know?
You hear the word mastermind, like what is it?
So,
really
yeah,
mean?
what is a mastermind?
I know.
Like what the fuck is a mastermind?
Is a mastermind.
You're devaluing yourself is when you make goals of I should, I could, I would. You're not living up to your highest value.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying I should lose weight versus I am going to lose weight.
Correct.
Like what's your mindset behind it? Like you're not saying, oh, I need to make before the time runs out. You're like, okay, I have 40K out. Like what am I gonna come up? What creative ideas? So one of the clients listening, and your list client,
need a
hit
video,
Liz's up,
need a blog post.
Let's help her crush this goal together. So like
Sponsored podcast episode. What's up?
Help me out too. But yeah, so I think.
And I could give a million. You guys, it's a pandemic. I'm a mom. It's the holidays. Holidays are also extra work. It's Q4. I'm a food blogger. I have 1,000,001 excuses. But what good is that going to do?
Your goal shouldn't be like a progress report. It shouldn't feel like you're being like unless you're an A student, then you probably love that. But like if you're not an A student, it shouldn't feel like like something that
you guys. No one's looking at my goals but me.
Yeah.
You're competing with yourself.
So it's like I want you people to know that like balance matters and like I'm not perfect and you don't need to be perfect.
A year ago or more than a year ago, we started Irie Lemon, the podcast. And how I like doing things is like you have to wait and see. A lot of people are asking from day one, where are we? What we're trying to do? What's going on? Is like, listen, bro, like let us figure it out, right? Like, and that could just be me never answering to anybody. So like when people like quiz me, I'm like what? I don't have the data for you. It just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds. If I say that sounds scary, right? Because like people want to know data, how you're gonna tie it in. It's like, I'll connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'll make it work. So I think that was like the first part of Irie Lemon, and now we're leaning to changing our name to Passion to Profit. And I don't remember exactly how that name came about, but the feeling came about. Liz and I are question askers. We're intuitive, and so for me at least, I feel like a great podcast would be us finding out the behind the scenes of people's passions who've turned into profit. I've done that. Liz has done that. And I think there's millions of people out there who are trying to do that. And there's millions of people who are examples of that. And so if we can get them on this show, talking about their story, them sharing with us little tidbits and little gems, I think that can get you on your journey every day.
I just learned some jazz today. It's true. He just learned some jazz today. And you gon' learn some jazz today.